Christmas dinner was almost over when my father put down his fork, looked me straight in the eye, and said, "You are a burden, and you can no longer live with us." I just sat there, stunned. I was 23, and I was paying the electric bill, the internet, the water, and the groceries. I was the only reason the lights were still on. I calmly said, "All right." The next morning, I packed my things, left, and canceled every single bill tied to my name. At first, I thought I had misheard him. My mom let out this weird, nervous laugh like she wasn't sure he meant it. But then he just sat there staring at me, waiting for a reaction. The room fell silent. My younger sister, Lily, froze with her fork halfway to her mouth. She looked at me wide-eyed, as if she couldn't believe what she had just heard. I swallowed the piece of ham I was chewing and put my fork down. "What? You heard me," he said. "You've overstayed your welcome. You need to move out." I just sat there trying to process. I was 23. I had a steady job and could have moved out a long time ago. But I stayed because they needed me. I paid the electric bill, the internet, groceries most weeks. Things they couldn't afford because my dad had been unemployed for years and my mom only worked part-time. I wasn't a burden. I was the reason the lights were still on in that house. And now, out of nowhere, I was being kicked out like some useless freeloader. Mom finally spoke up. "Maybe we should talk about this later." "No," Dad interrupted. "This is my house. I make the rules. And I say he's done here." Lily put down her fork. She was only 16, and I could tell she was scared. She stared at our parents like she didn't even recognize them. If they could throw me out so easily, what did that mean for her? I took a deep breath. I wasn't going to argue or beg. If they wanted me out, fine. But they weren't ready for what that really meant. I leaned back in my chair. "All right," I said. My dad sat up straighter, like he'd won some imaginary battle. My mom still looked uncomfortable, but she didn't say anything. Maybe she was in shock, or maybe she just didn't care as much as I thought she would. I stood up, grabbed my plate, and carried it to the sink. I didn't want to give them the reaction they wanted. Instead, I looked at Lily, who was still sitting there, tense and confused. I gave her a small nod. She was the only one at this table I still cared about. Dad took a sip of his drink, as if nothing had happened. Mom went back to picking at her mashed potatoes. Lily kept looking at me as if she wanted to say something, but she didn't. I didn't stay to finish dinner. I just walked out. I didn't say another word that night. I went straight to my room, closed the door, and started packing. I wasn't going to waste my time trying to understand why they were doing this. If they wanted me gone, then I was gone. But that also meant they would lose everything I had paid for. And I wasn't going to warn them. I packed in silence, but I could hear them talking downstairs. My mom's voice was low and scared. My dad's was firm, like he was trying to convince her of something. I caught bits and pieces. He's old enough. We can handle it. He should have moved out years ago. An hour later, Lily knocked on my door. I opened it and she slipped in, closing it behind her. She looked upset, her eyes red as if she'd been crying. "What the hell was that?" she whispered. "I don't know," I said, stuffing my laptop into my bag. "But I'm leaving tomorrow," she shook her head. "That's crazy. You pay for everything. They can't even afford food without you." "Not my problem anymore." She bit her lip, obviously trying to hold back more tears. "Where are you going?" "I'll figure it out." The truth was, I had some money saved up, but I hadn't planned on moving out so suddenly. I'd have to find a place fast, maybe stay with a friend for a while. But I wasn't worried. I'd be fine. They wouldn't. Lily hesitated. "Can I?" She stopped herself. I knew what she was going to ask. She wanted to come with me. But she was still in high school, and as much as I hated leaving her behind, I couldn't take her with me. "You know they'd never let that happen," I said. She looked at the ground. "Yeah." I finished packing, and she just stood there like she didn't want to go. Finally, she sighed. "They're going to regret this." I grinned. "I know." The next morning, I left before they even woke up. I carried my bags downstairs, loaded my car, and took one last look at the house. No sadness, no regret. Just relief. Then as I was pulling out of the driveway, I opened my banking app and removed my name from every bill. Electric, internet, water, even the Netflix account. I had paid for them all. Without me, everything would be shut off within the month. I smiled, put my car in drive, and drove away without looking back. For the next few days, I crashed at my friend Jake's apartment while I looked for a place of my own. His couch sucked, his dog Max wouldn't stop staring at me while I tried to sleep, and his roommate kept asking if I was staying forever. But none of that mattered, because I was free. No more paying for a house I didn't even want to live in. No more pretending to respect a man who had no problem kicking me out at Christmas dinner. No more being treated like a walking ATM. Then 3 days after I left, my phone started ringing. At first, I ignored it. 7 missed calls from my mom. 2 from my dad, which was shocking because he never called me, and a couple of texts from Lily. I ignored those too until she sent this. They're freaking out. The power's been cut off, I grinned. They really thought the bills would magically pay themselves. Then another text. Dad's losing his mind. He said you did something to the house. Oh, this was getting good. I could just picture him stomping around in the dark, yelling at my mom while she cried about the Wi-Fi being down. An hour later, another call. This time I answered. The second I picked up the phone, my mom's voice hit me like a hurricane. Kevin, we don't know what happened. The power's out, the internet's down, the water bill. You didn't pay, I said simply. Silence. Then in a lower voice, you paid for these? I almost laughed. Are you serious? Who else did you think was paying for them? Your father said. She cut herself off. I already knew. My father was too proud to admit that he had no idea how things worked. Not my problem anymore, I said. Kevin, please. We didn't mean. I hung up. I thought that was the end of it. Then the next morning, I woke up to a message from my bank. Fraud alert, suspicious login attempt detected. I sat up quickly, my heart pounding. I checked my email. 3 more alerts. Someone had tried to access my account, and I already knew who it was. I logged on immediately. Nothing had been taken, but there it was. An attempted password reset, another failed login, then a third. My dad must have been really desperate. I called Lily. She answered right away. I was just about to call you, she whispered. Dad's freaking out. He keeps yelling about money. He was on the computer all morning. I exhaled sharply, trying to get into my bank account. She was silent for a second. Then she cursed under her breath. Does he have my old passwords? I asked. Probably, she admitted. You know how Mom used to keep them in that little notebook by the computer? I knew it. My dad must have been going through that thing, hoping I'd be stupid enough to still be using the same passwords from high school. Kevin, Lily whispered. He's really pissed. I think, she hesitated. I could hear shouting in the background, my dad's voice slamming doors. Then my mom crying. I think he's going to do something stupid. Lily's words sent a shiver down my spine. What do you mean? What did he say? She lowered her voice. He's saying that you ruined us, that you did this on purpose to screw him. He's talking about calling the cops. I almost laughed. For what? Not paying his bills? I don't know, she hissed. He's losing it. He's saying, he's not going to get away with this. Kevin, I think he wants to go after you. That wiped the smile off my face. Lock your door, I told her. If he does something crazy, call me. I hung up and immediately changed every password I had. Then I called my bank and told them someone had tried to hack me. They locked my account so tight that even I had trouble getting in for a few hours. I thought that was the end of it. I was dead wrong. That night, Jake and I were chilling in his apartment when someone banged on the door. Hard. Are you expecting someone? Jake asked. I wasn't, and I already had a bad feeling. I got up, walked to the peephole, and felt my stomach drop. It was my dad. He was standing in the hallway, fists clenched, breathing like a bull about to charge. Who is it? Jake called. I stepped back from the door. My dad, another bang. Kevin, open the door! I didn't move. He banged again hard. I know you're in there. You think you can just walk away from this? Before Jake could even say anything, my dad kicked the door. Hard. That was it. I grabbed my phone and called 911. My dad just showed up at my apartment, I told the dispatcher. He's banging on the door, yelling at me, and he just tried to kick it in. Kevin, this is crazy, Jake said. I met his eyes. Yeah, I know. I held the phone to my ear as my dad kept yelling. You ungrateful little... You think you can just walk away? You owe us. Sir, officers are on their way, the dispatcher said. 2 minutes later, I heard sirens. Then my dad's voice cut out. A knock on the door. Police, open up. I opened the door just in time to see 2 officers handcuffing my dad. His face was flushed, But when he saw me standing there, his eyes changed. There was no regret. Just pure hatred. You did this, he growled as they led him away. I just stood there, unmoved. Because the truth was, he did it to himself. They took my dad away, but I knew it wasn't over. Lily called me an hour later. Mom's losing it. She's crying and saying it's all your fault. Yeah, that sounds about right. She keeps saying you have to fix this. She's already calling people trying to get bail money. I almost laughed. With what money? Silence. Because we both knew they had none. No electricity, no internet, no savings. Without me, they were sinking fast. I should have felt bad, but all I felt was relief. Keep an eye on her, I told Lily. And sure enough, Lily texted me the next morning. Mom's selling your stuff. I froze. Then I called her. She picked up right away, voice sharp. I told you to fix this. Are you selling my stuff? A pause. Then bluntly, we need money, Kevin. I clenched my jaw. So you're stealing from me? You don't live here anymore. She snapped. You left all this behind. It's in our house, that makes it ours. She had no remorse. Just entitlement. I'm calling the cops, I said. Don't you dare. I hung up. Then I called the police. 2 hours later, I got a call back. We talked to your mother, the officer said. She wasn't happy, but she's agreed to hold your things until you can pick them up. I texted Lily, I'm coming over, but I should have known. When I pulled up to the house, something made my stomach drop. My car, sitting in the driveway. It shouldn't have been there. I had left it at Jake's apartment. My car wasn't just here. It was being driven. The front seat was folded back, my glove compartment was open, and the gas tank was almost empty. They had stolen my car. Before I could get out, the front door swung open. My mother stepped out, arms crossed. You called the cops on me, she said. You stole my car, I shot back. She scoffed. It was just sitting there. You weren't using it. I stared at her, trying to process the insanity. It's my car. How did you even get it? She didn't answer, but I already knew. They had a spare key. Mom, I said, my voice dangerously calm. If you don't give me my key, I'm calling the cops again. Her expression flickered. Without a word, she stormed inside. A minute later, she came back and threw the key at me. It hit my chest and landed in the grass. There, she spat. Happy? I picked it up. I'm taking my things, and then I'm leaving for good. I walked past her. Lily was waiting in the hall, looking tense. She took your laptop and pawned it, she whispered. I closed my eyes. Breathed in, breathed out. I turned to my mother. Where's my laptop? She lifted her chin. I told you. We needed money, that was it. I pulled out my phone, dialed 911 for the second time that week, and let her watch. Yes, I want to report a stolen vehicle and stolen property, I said, staring her dead in the eye. My mom just admitted that she pawned my laptop without permission. The color drained from her face. This time, she was the one who had to deal with the cops. The moment my mother realized I wasn't bluffing, she panicked. You can't do this, she hissed. I'm your mother. I ignored her. Yes, officer, I have proof that she admitted to taking my belongings. I want to press charges. Lily stood frozen. My mother's hands were shaking. Kevin, she tried again, softer. We're struggling. Your father's in jail. I had no choice. You had a choice, I said. You could have worked more. You could have sold your own stuff. You could have asked for help instead of throwing me out like garbage. She blinked. I was angry. Yeah, I laughed. So was I. I heard sirens. A few minutes later, 2 police officers came through the door. Sir, did you call about stolen property? I nodded and pointed at my mother. She took my laptop and pawned it. I want to press charges. My mom gasped. Kevin, don't do this. The officers turned to her. Ma'am, is this true? She hesitated, trying to figure out if she could lie. Then Lily spoke. She told him herself, right before he called you. My mom snapped her head at Lily. You little... Ma'am, one of the cops cut her off. Do you have a receipt from the pawn shop? Her face fell. They took her outside. I watched through the window as they talked to her and then... handcuffs. She was struggling, started crying, screaming about how this was unfair. Neighbors peered through their blinds. Lily stood beside me. Is this really happening? I nodded. Yes. And for the first time in a long time, I felt at peace. Then my phone buzzed. A message from an unfamiliar number. You're going to regret this. My chest tightened. I realized my dad had been released on bail. The moment I saw that message, I knew he was out and he was pissed. I showed Lily the text. Her face went pale. "Kevin, you need to leave." "No," I said. "They do." I turned to the cops. "Can I go in and get the rest of my stuff?" One of them nodded. Lily and I went upstairs and packed everything that was mine. As I carried the last box to my car, my mother was still crying in the driveway, begging the officers. "He's my son. He wouldn't do this to me." I just walked past her. I got into my car. Lily stood by my window. "I don't want to stay here." "I know," I sighed. "You only have 2 years until you're 18. Call me if anything happens," she nodded. Then headlights appeared. A car turned onto our street. My stomach dropped. My dad. He pulled up just as I started the engine. He stared at me, eyes full of rage. I rolled down my window just enough. "You try to come near me again, I'm filing a restraining order." His hands clenched. "You think you're better than us?" I smiled. "I know I am." Then I drove away. That was the last time I saw them. I blocked my parents' numbers, changed my banking information, and moved to a new place. Lily held out for 2 years. The minute she turned 18, she was gone. She moved in with a friend and went off to college. We still talk all the time, and my parents. My dad never held a job. My mom lost the house a year later. The last I heard, they were renting a rundown apartment in a bad part of town. They tried to reach out. Facebook messages, unfamiliar numbers, even letters. I never responded. They made their choice that Christmas dinner, and I made mine.